You see this right here, a Honda Civic EX. Turbocharged, direct injection, all the latest tech. Looks great on paper. And Honda has spent decades telling you this thing is going to last forever. 200,000 miles? No problem. That's been the whole pitch. But the thing is that the Honda that hits 200,000 miles without breaking a sweat, that's not this version. That's the older, simpler one. And mechanics are starting to talk. I have a lot to say after this video. So we have talked about the truck market a couple of times on this channel, and today I want to hone in on Honda. Specifically, why certain modern Hondas are failing right around that 100,000 mile mark when the older ones were pushing 250,000 miles like it was nothing. Real facts, real figures, honest look at what's going on under the hood. Stick with me. 1. What Honda did to their engines. You cannot talk about Honda reliability without talking about engines. And specifically, what Honda has been doing to them. The older naturally aspirated Hondas, I'm talking the K24 in the 2003 to 2007 Accord, the 1.8-liter R18 in the 8th and 9th generation Civic, those things were simple. Port fuel injection, no turbo, proven internal components. Mechanics loved them, the owners loved them. A 2012 Civic with 130,000 miles on it, torn down on camera by a mechanic named Speedcar99, still had a crankshaft and connecting rods in perfectly fine shape. The only issue was a head gasket that failed because the driver ignored overheating, not because the engine itself gave up. That's what simplicity gets you. Low stress, low wear, long life. Now here's where things start shifting. Starting with the 10th generation in 2015, Honda moved the higher trims, your EX, Touring, and Sci, over to a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine with direct injection. And that's a meaningful change. With direct injection, fuel sprays straight into the combustion chamber and never touches the intake valves. So over time, carbon builds up on those valves with nothing washing it off. With port injection, fuel sprays into the intake port and basically cleans the valves as it goes. Simple and effective. Now, on top of that, you've got the turbo. More components, more heat, more things that can eventually fail. Turbochargers run extremely hot and stress engine oil hard. Defer that oil change on a turbocharged engine and you feel it way faster than you would on a naturally aspirated motor. And here is where it gets worse. The 1.5 turbo in the 2016 to 2018 Civic and 2017 to 2018 CR-V developed a very real problem that Honda had to acknowledge: fuel dilution. Gasoline was seeping past the piston rings and contaminating the engine oil. Owners started noticing their oil smelled like gas. Dipsticks were showing oil levels rising above the full mark. That's not normal. That's fuel mixing into your oil. Honda issued a software update, changed some AC control units, and extended the powertrain warranty on camshafts, rocker assemblies, and spark plugs to 6 years with unlimited mileage. Consumer Reports even called Honda out on it, saying if vehicles are stalling, this is a safety issue and Honda should conduct an official recall. But Honda maintained that oil dilution was rare and mostly happened in cold climates. Owners in Texas and California would disagree. The problem is this: when fuel dilutes your oil, the oil loses viscosity. It gets thinner. And when your oil gets thinner, it can't protect the engine the way it should. Some oil analysis reports showed fuel dilution levels over 4% in these engines, especially in winter months or with short trip driving. Honda's TSB fix helped some owners. For others, it did nothing. But even if you avoided the fuel dilution problem entirely, there's still the carbon buildup issue on those direct injection engines we talked about earlier. Two separate problems, same turbocharged platform. Worth noting, Honda's base LX and Sport trims on the 11th Gen Civic still use the naturally aspirated 2-liter K20C2 with port injection through 2024. Owners and mechanics actually love that engine. It's the turbocharged EX and Touring trims where the complexity and the long-term concerns start showing up. Speedcar99's teardown conclusion was simple: no turbo, port injection, conservative IV tech tuning. That's the formula that got Hondas to 250,000 miles. The turbo trims are walking away from that formula. If that engine breakdown right there just helped you figure out which Civic trim to actually buy, go hit subscribe. Seriously, that's exactly the kind of thing we cover on this channel. Support me in reaching my goal of 10,000 subscribers. Hit that button right now, and let's keep going. And speaking of things that have gotten more complicated, let's talk about transmissions, because this one is going to hurt. 2. The transmission problem nobody wants to talk about. So the older Hondas with simple 4-cylinder engines and traditional automatic transmissions, or better yet, the manual, those things were nearly indestructible. Mechanics who've worked on Hondas for years will tell you that if you change the fluid, the transmission went the distance. Period. Now Honda has moved to CVTs on most of the Civic lineup, continuously variable transmissions. And on paper, a CVT sounds great, smoother power delivery, better fuel economy. Fine. But in the real world, owners of newer Civics have been reporting CVT failures, and when a CVT fails, the repair bill is not a small one. The 2001 to 2005 Civic generation already showed us what Honda transmission problems look like when they go wrong. Car Complaints has 683 complaints on the 2001 Civic's automatic transmission alone, with an average failure at around 104,000 miles, and individual failures documented as early as 69,000 miles. People dumping money into transmission rebuilds on a car that was supposed to be bulletproof. Honda even settled a class action lawsuit over it in 2006. That was bad enough. And those were simpler transmissions by today's standards. And if you think that's rough, wait till you hear about the Odyssey. Now you have a CVT that is more complex, less serviceable, and even less forgiving if a driver misses their fluid service interval. The Odyssey from 1999 to 2004 became a cautionary tale for the same reason. Honda pushed a transmission that wasn't built to handle the load, and owners paid for it. One owner on record went through 6 transmissions by 155,000 miles. 6. That's not reliability. That's the opposite of reliability. The takeaway is simple. The more complex the transmission, the more ways it can fail. And Honda has been moving in the more complex direction. Now, on top of the engines and the transmissions, there is another layer to this that most people completely overlook. And this one might catch you off guard. 3. Electronics and complexity are doing more damage than you think. Here's the thing about modern cars that I think people underestimate. The old Hondas, an Accord from 2005, a CR-V from 2013, the electronics were basic. Physical knobs, basic infotainment, straightforward engine control units. If something went wrong electrically, it was usually isolated. Fix it and move on. Modern Hondas are a completely different animal. You have integrated engine control units, CVT modules talking to the engine module, safety electronics, advanced infotainment, and a web of sensors throughout the car. When one of those systems starts failing around 100,000 miles from heat exposure, vibration, and just plain age, it doesn't always fail in isolation. These systems are integrated enough that one failure can cascade. And here is the hybrid side of it. The newer Honda hybrid models add dual electric motors on top of all of that. More components, more wiring, more battery management systems. The first generation Honda Insight from 2000 to 2006 already showed us exactly what happens when an early Honda hybrid battery ages past its prime. Fuel economy tanks, performance drops, IMA warning lights come on. Dealer replacement quotes at the time were $4,000 to $5,000 for a new battery pack. Even after Honda dropped the cost down in 2008, the price was still around $2,000. That's a car that lost nearly all its value because the hybrid system gave out before the rest of the car did. Today's Honda hybrids are more refined, but the principle is the same. More technology means more things that can eventually go wrong, and around 100,000 miles, things start going wrong. And while we're on electronics, let's talk about air conditioning. Because Honda's had a rough time with AC systems on these modern vehicles. The 2016 to 2021 Civic and 2017 to 2022 CR-V both had widespread AC compressor shaft seal failures. Honda extended the warranty to 10 years with no mileage limit on the shaft seal specifically. The issue traces back to a new refrigerant mandated by regulation. The new refrigerant and oil caused the compressor shaft seal to swell and wear abnormally, allowing refrigerant to leak out. Owners were getting quoted $1,500 to $2,500 for AC repairs on cars with 40,000 miles on them. Some owners had the condenser replaced multiple times under warranty, only to have the compressor fail right after. It's a cascading failure. One part goes, it stresses the next part, and suddenly you're looking at a $2,000 repair bill on a car that's barely 5 years old. So between hybrid batteries that age out, integrated electronics that cascade when they fail, and AC systems that self-destruct, the complexity is piling up fast. Now please note that affiliate links are still to be observed. So we have covered engines, transmissions, and electronics. There is one more thing I want to leave you with, and it applies to every car regardless of brand. 4. Maintenance is not optional on these things, it's everything. Here is what I will say in Honda's defense, because I think it is fair. A lot of the failures we are seeing around 100,000 miles on modern Hondas are not purely design failures. They are maintenance failures colliding with design complexity. The older, naturally aspirated Honda motors were forgiving. You could stretch an oil change a few thousand miles on the K24 and it just shrugged it off. A turbocharged engine is the exact opposite. Turbochargers depend on clean oil to stay lubricated under extreme heat. Defer that oil change on a turbocharged Civic EX and you are accelerating wear in a way a naturally aspirated motor would never punish you for. Same thing with CVT fluid. Those transmissions need regular fluid service and a lot of owners never do it. When a CVT goes out with degraded fluid in it, that's not just a design failure, that's a maintenance failure meeting a less forgiving design. But either way, it's a Honda that failed well before 150,000 miles. And that's the theme across all of this. Tighter tolerances, less forgiveness, higher stakes. The honest truth is this: modern Hondas demand more diligent maintenance than the older ones did. And a lot of buyers pick up a Honda expecting to maintain it casually because that's what worked on their old 1998 Accord. That calculation does not work the same way anymore. Alright, I'll wrap it up right there. As always, genuinely appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you got value out of this, hit that like button. It costs you nothing. And subscribe. I'm pushing for 10,000 subscribers, and every single one of you is part of that. It does not go unnoticed. Take care.